It seems, I know there are a lot of players that just have that naturally. I know that you know Didier Drogba well. He seemed to have an incredible drive. Although he has admitted in his autobiography that he struggled with certain things like running, he hated running, he says. But when you look at that Arsenal team, I almost feel frustrated saying it time and time again, the fact they lack leadership, they lack discipline, they lack motivation, they lack a team spirit. What would you do to try and change that? Is it a psychologist?
Belief. For me, the most important thing is belief. You can achieve important things in your life if you believe in yourself. And I still believe that it was already the case under Arsene Wenger reign the last few years before he left. The mentality changed because of financially they cannot compete on the same level than City, Liverpool, Manchester United, even Chelsea. They have to pay back, you know, the loan from the stadium, and they have to sell the best player every single season. So, but I can understand that. But what I don't understand is, in somewhere, you know, they lost the blood. You know, how you?
Yeah,
you see the ADN.
Maybe the adrenaline.
No, the blood. You know, the culture. The Arsene Wenger tried to put
like
brand,
the DNA.
Yeah, DNA.
Yeah. Mourinho
so I think
spoke
they lost
about
the DNA,
yeah.
you know, Arsenal, you know, the way they used to play football. We used to be called, you know, the surname of Arsenal was the little Barcelona. And it was magnificent to watch. And recently, I have you know, the hope that it's coming back slowly, but it's coming back after 6 or 7 years, you know, in the shadow. So I understand that, but you need to keep what is the most important in your club. The DNA for me is important. The history of the club is important. You need to put that to the next generation. And I still believe that the players, you know, they are still young, and they need to keep the belief that they can achieve big things, you know. And you can argue that Arsenal were not competitive on the transfer market, but things have been changing, you know, recently. And I'm very happy with the new players coming for at least like 6 months. And the team becoming competitive now. And if you look, I have an example. If you look at the game they play against Manchester City, they should have won that game.
Yeah.
They lost it. It was so frustrating for the player, for the fans. I watched the game at the end and I was thinking, it must be very hard for the players, you know, to cope with that, because they were the best team on the pitch. And I remember, you know, a couple of months ago, a year ago, they were destroyed by Manchester City. So the difference is not huge anymore. And I haven't seen Manchester City where so in danger, you know, on the pitch. That was the first time since a long time I've seen City, you know, in danger. So that's why I believe that things are getting normal step by step, you know, Arsenal.
And do you feel that Arteta is the right man to bring that DNA back and that belief back to the players again?
I think so. I'm still wondering if you have the magic point, you know, for the last step, you know, because Arsenal are coming back strongly, but they are fighting for the 3rd and the 4th position in the Premier League. I want them to compete for the Premier League table. I want them to come back in the Champions League. But this is the first step, you know, after everything's happened, you know, it's been a long way to go. So I'm still confident that they are coming back, because big clubs, they never die. And I believe in a young generation, you know, at Arsenal, with Saka, with Martinelli, with Smith Rowe, those kind of players, you know, they are the future of the club.
Yeah.
But they need to stay at the club.
Exactly. And you need to be challenging for them to stay at the
Yes.
club. When you look at some other clubs in the Premier League, they have a lot of legends who come back and help with the training and the coaching. Is that something that you've thought about? Would you like to?
You know what? I love football, but I prefer life. I like to believe that I am a free bird.
You could do some consultancy, perhaps.
I don't know, but what I do know that if you're a manager, you work in a club, it's every day, every week, You don't have any vacations. You're always under, you know, so much pressure. I don't mind about that. But for me, life is more important.
Yeah.
Football is one of my biggest passions since I'm on this planet. But life for me is more important. I want to be free. I want to do whatever I want at any time.
You gave a lot of your life to football already.
For me, this is the most important for me. I won't say that this is the most important for human being, but for me, freedom is the most important.
And I guess as a player, you didn't get much freedom. Footballers don't have freedom at all, so you're using that now. Do you keep in touch with many footballers?
Yes. I was in Monaco last week for a charity game. I saw some of my old teammates, you know. I was with Arsene Wenger for 2 days. And I have a pleasure to see them because they are not the same anymore. We talk about football, but we talk about life in general.
How is Arsene?
About kids, about women, about life in general.
Because Arsene was a football obsessive.
I know.
And he says he can't really switch off from it. Has he been able to now? Because he's not been coming to Arsenal.
I think it's sad.
Yeah.
I told him a long time ago. It was like that in Monaco already, when he was my manager. And I told him, I remember once, we were on a beach, you know, in the south of France, near Cannes. I was enjoying the sun. Look at my tan, my skin. I'm white. And get beaten right away by the sun. And he was standing, you know, tracksuit and everything, you know, under the sun, 30 degrees. And I look at him and say, why don't you take a towel and just enjoying the sun? No, I can't. I don't like it. He left. He stayed a couple of minutes and he left.
I can imagine that.
I'm thinking, what do you have in your life except football to bring joy, happiness, and I can understand his fully concentrate and his desire of winning games, and I can understand that, but I think it's sad.
Perhaps that's why he stayed a little bit longer than maybe he should have done. He was so desperate to, he was so close to turning Arsenal into title challengers again.
It was so personal for him.
Yeah.
You know, he directed the project with Mr. Dean. He was involved in a training camp, in the stadium, in building the team, changing players, buying players, selling players. He was everywhere. Private life was not part of his life. He was only focused on Arsenal. He was married to the club.
Yeah.
His wife was Arsenal Football Club. So I imagine, I can understand that, but as I said, I'm not like that. Impossible. That's why I will never become a manager. Never.
It sounds like you could be very useful to speak to some of the players, to be honest with you. But we don't have too much time left, and I know we could focus so much on Arsenal, but I want to speak to you about one of your other clubs, Chelsea.
Yes.
Frank Lampard, your former midfield partner, has gone to Everton. I think it's a great opportunity for him, but he's still a rookie. He's still young.
Of course.
How do you think he'll get on there?
I think he will do better because situation Everton are very complicated, actually. With the money they spent on the transfer market for the last few years, the expectation from the clubs and the fans, I think it's a failure. And I think he's done a very good job, you know, at Derby before he joined his former club, Chelsea. I think it was too early for him. He doesn't get the experience, you know, as a manager. Forget the magnificent player you were before. You're a manager now, and your image, what you've done on the pitch, that helps you, you know, for the first few months, you know, in a dressing room. But after that, the players, they will question you on your management, on the training sessions, how you cope, you know, individually and collectively, how you cope after you lose a game. It's not the same as a player. You are a manager. You are responsible of your team. So I think in terms of experience, it was a little bit too early for him to come back to Chelsea with the expectation, you know, you need to fight for the title, you need to fight for the Champions League. This is why I think going to Everton, the way they are actually, it can be better. It can only be better for him. So with the new signing, I think bright days will come back very quickly at Everton. I won't say they will qualify for the European Cup.
But little by little,
yes,
and they're, you know,
yes.
I mean, they're kind of in a relegation battle, but I can't ever see them going down.
They won't go down, no.
He's taken a bit of a gamble, so he's got Donny van der Beek and he's got Dele Alli. Now, these are two players who have not been doing well. They've got a lot to prove.
Well,
but they're good players, aren't they?
This is not the same situation for both players.
No.
To be honest, I really like both players. I'm a big fan, especially Dele Alli. But I'm very disappointed in terms of motivation.
He's another one, isn't he, that lacks that.
Manager, I think he was under 4 different managers.
Yeah.
Pochettino, Nuno from Wolves,
Jose
Mourinho, and now Conte. And all of them have been the same trouble. I have the same trouble with Dele Alli. So, as I said for Aubameyang, Dele Alli is 25 years old. He has shown so many talent, qualities, skills on the pitch. At the beginning, he was fresh, without any troubles in his mind. He was playing as a free bird on the pitch. I come back to the freedom, you know, it's very important.
Yeah. Are we seeing, there seems to be a bit of an epidemic of players. I mean, you could maybe put Lukaku in that, maybe you could put Pogba in that. Players who are brilliant players and lack motivation. Is it because they have too much? Is it because they're surrounded by their agents? I mean, you've seen football change. Do you think that's what it's about?
I will answer this question with my career. Sometimes I was not good enough because that was not the fault of the manager. That was not the fault of somebody close to me, my wife or whatever. It was my personal fault. Every time I was not good on a pitch, most of the time I was responsible of it because I didn't prepare the right way the game. I wasn't focused on a good way for the game. And if you want to be a quality player on the pitch, you need to prepare yourself as a professional footballer, which means you need to reach the higher standards, you know, to compete, you know, against the best players. If you don't do that, don't be surprised you're not good enough on the pitch, and don't put a fault on somebody else. You need to look at yourself in a mirror and ask you the right question and find the right question as well. So every time I was not good on the pitch is because my mind was not focused on the game.
And we usually blame the manager. We very rarely go straight to the player. It's very easy to
put the blame on somebody else when you live through difficulties and you have the feeling that it's a failure. It's very easy to say, that's not my fault, it's his fault, manager doesn't like me. The manager will like you if you do what you have to do on the pitch, on the training ground, and every weekend. You have the right not to perform well sometimes, but you don't have the right to do things halfway. It's impossible.
We have 1 minute left, and so just one final question from me. I'd love to know who is exciting you the most at the moment.
Actually, in the Premier League?
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of some players at City and Liverpool. To be honest with you, I really love the way Liverpool play. I'm a big fan of Jürgen Klopp. I love that guy. To be honest with you, I never met him, but I'm pretty sure that I would have been happy to play under his responsibility. And I love the humanity, you know, from this guy. You know, this anger to win every single game. You can see physically he can change, you know, in space of 2 seconds on the bench. I love his approach in terms of management with the players. So of course I love Salah. I'm a big fan of. There is so many players I like at Liverpool and City as well. The way they play, I have a big respect for what Guardiola is doing at City in terms of football, trying to be a better manager every single day, and the way his team is playing the same football is quite. Sometimes it's quite weird because you have the feeling you know how they play. But it's very difficult to play against them because they do it perfectly.
Yeah.
And so De Bruyne, Silva, old guys, you know, for them, I'm a big fan. So there is so many players I'm a big fan. It's funny because when I was a player, I was not fan of other players. Since I'm retired, I'm like back in, you know, childhood. I've got so many. I'm such a huge fan of different players. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You can appreciate them rather than
Of
have
course,
to play against them.
But more important, I'm a fan of the players. But if I want to be really in love with the player, they need to bring something else that just to be a player. They need to get character, personality. They need to do something outside football as well. For me, it's more important to be a human being than to be a footballer. We are coming back at the first question you asked me.
Yeah, no, it's true. We're out of time. Manu, thank you so much. My pleasure. That was absolutely
very quickly.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.